It's
Hi.
it's the squares, the magical squares of Zoom, and it's us, Daggercast. I'm Lindsay Charles, person that exists. I don't even know if I can call myself lead singer of the Cell Phones anymore. I haven't played a show in like 100 years. And then also my lovely main man, Brian Kirst, the biggest horror fan in all the world.
That's right. And I could never, I just want to clear this up because I know there's been rumors, I could never call myself the lead singer of the Cell Phones, ever. I mean, I know there's been some rumors going around, but it's just not true. So stop it. Stop it, Mom.
Stop it, Mom.
Dad. I know I'm a disappointment, but
I am excited because we have another lead singer of a real band that is actually doing stuff, even
lots
through
of stuff.
The pandemic. And this will be a second visit for this lovely guest. A little bit of housekeeping since we talked about it a while back. You can find Daggercast on all streaming services. However, YouTube is the best, and you should probably use YouTube. And now from now on,
YouTube is queen.
We'll just take you to YouTube. This way you can listen and you can see our wacky ass non-makeuped faces. Because at this point in the night for me, I've put a baby to bed and probably have Oreo on me somewhere. So you get some of that. The visuals are fun sometimes. So
if you
want to ask us dumb questions or even good questions, email us at daggercastinfo@gmail.com. I would love to hear anything that you have to say.
But in order to ask us questions, you must be covered in Oreos, at least someplace on your body.
Yeah, show me just a picture of you.
Into Lindsay, or we won't answer your questions.
Yes,
we just
absolutely
do it.
Anywho,
no, that's crummy of us.
You're the best. You bring a whole you bring a humor that I don't get I don't okay, and then you bring it.
Maybe just because it's not humor. Maybe that's what it is.
No,
it's just not humor. That's why.
Anyway, I would like to happily introduce one of my favorite lead front people of a band at all. He'll look slightly different than he normally does on stage, but it is Beverage from Beverage and the Drinks.
Yay, Josh J. Coles, come on down.
Hello, I'm here. I'm back.
Hi.
How are you? I poured myself a glass of wine while you were doing the intro, so cheers.
Perfect. Cheers. I have a caffeine-free Diet Coke covered in a koozie that says certified free.
A truthful koozie.
7 days a week. So true.
Lovely. Thanks for having me again. So I was thinking about the last time I was here, and Lindsay was pregnant and grouchy.
I'm grown now.
And but it was fun. And we were in person.
Yeah.
So that was at least over 2 years ago, right?
It was. Yep.
And then we could refer to you as Bev because you were like, that's how people know me. But now it's Josh. But that's okay. I'm fine with both of them.
Hey, I answer to both. A lot of my friends call me Bev, and then some people don't even know who she is. So.
What?
That's I know. I'm a little.
Bev is everywhere. You just released a couple new music videos, and you just announced you're going to be part of Pride Fest in June.
Yes, we are. It's kind of funny. This is the second year we're playing Pride Fest in Chicago. We have a very busy summer coming up, so we have we're doing a few festivals. We're doing Pride Fest. We're doing Midsummer Fest. A few others that are potentially on the books. But the big thing this summer is that we're releasing our new album. Super excited about it. So we've already released 2 of the singles off of it, which are our videos as well.
The videos are amazing, by the way.
Thanks. We're super proud of them. We're doing all the videos with local videographers. Everything is kind of Chicago local. And album is out on August 13th. We're doing a party at Shuba's with No Men.
Nice.
Maybe another band.
Right, you must go. You must go on behalf.
To me.
we all love No Men, don't we?
Yes.
We do.
Yes.
Personally, it's the best.
Mm.
But yeah, so we have for the album, we actually have 6 videos coming out for it. So it's going to be a busy summer of promoting and playing shows and just having fun. So,
Great.
so excited. Yeah.
So pumped. You guys are a summer band. To me, you are like a summer. Like, I think of the summer, I think of like doing fests. I think of me like hoping all of your makeup stays on because it's so wet. Because it's rough out there. It's rough out there for a lady just makeup. I know I've done velvet dresses in the summer. Don't ever do it.
Yeah, being a drag queen in the summer is not fun. Let's say that.
Do you have trick?
That's why we
in the August heat.
Exactly. So being like a summer party band, like in festivals, like makes sense. But I prefer to perform in like 0-degree weather. We're hoping that maybe the Empty Bottle will invite us next year to that Frozen party or whatever it's called. So that'd be ideal for us. So it'd be like a festival plus outside in the winter. So it'd be perfect.
Nice.
Every time I see that, that I always am like, I mean, I used to live down the street from Empty Bottle and I never braved that because I was like, it's cold, y'all. But now I'm like, I would go to that 100%.
For sure. Yeah.
Pride Fest has cause we had Scott Free on here a few months ago, and for years he would go down and kind of protest the Pride Fest and market days simply because they wouldn't book queer acts and festivals. And I get it, you know, everyone wants to see Thelma Houston and Jennifer Holliday, and I sure as fuck do, you know, Irene Cara and all those people, but they weren't booking any queer acts at all. Do you think that's improved over the years? That, you know, do you see a nice balance of, you know, the kind of the disco dollies that everyone has a great time with and should be there because they do support the community and love us, I think. But also, you know, I think there's a nice way to balance it out too, that the organizers weren't doing for a while. So do you think that?
I mean, honestly, I'm not sure that it really has really improved that much until we started getting booked there last year. Okay, like we're the really only like punk rock band I think that plays Pride Fest at least, or market days. So yeah, I mean, I think that like they've been trying to like reach out to more local queer acts. We feel very happy to be booked on shows like that because we get to reach an audience that we don't reach in like the club scene in general. So we get a lot of exposure to people that don't even know we exist. There's this like drag queen fronted punk band that's been around for a long time, and everybody's always super shocked about it. But yeah, it's great, and I'm really happy that they're reaching out to bands like us at this point, and hopefully they keep doing it.
Yeah, honestly, like as far as like I know there are plenty of queer punk bands in Chicago, and I feel like whenever you know, whenever I poke my head into market days or I go like see, it's always like they're never there. They're never there. But Joan Jett is, and it's like, okay, that's great, but also like
who's kind of quasi out, right? Is she officially out?
She's officially out, yeah.
Yeah. But it's like, okay, I mean, you literally picked the one. You picked the one, but it's like there's all these other like you could have supported her with a bunch of like really cool queer punk acts, but leading up to it was just not queer, not punk.
And I'm sure what they have to do is they have to, you know, you've got to go to your audience too. And oh,
absolutely. But they also like the side stages. Like I feel like if we it out a bit, that'd be kind of fun.
Yeah, I would love it. Yeah.
It'd be nice to if they kind of like outsource like maybe a side stage or something to like someone like me who could book all the queer bands in Chicago or something like that. Yeah. One cool another
because there's a lot of queer youth too. You know, I think a lot of times you know, gay pride is like, hey, do you remember this like blast from the past? But there are a lot of youngins that are like, I have no idea who this is.
Yeah.
Can we, you know, like, and they need to be inspired too somehow. Like, I don't know. Yeah, I feel like there's a lot of queer punks that are young in Chicago, and like we need to be like, come in.
Yeah,
exactly. And whenever we've been booking a lot of like local shows recently. We don't play a ton in Chicago, maybe like once a month at this point, but I try to make a point of like every show that we play to have like a relatively new queer band at least on the bill. So yeah, so just to kind of like allow like both me to get exposed to what they're doing, because I mean I'm old now. So it's nice to like hear what the younger queers are doing in Chicago, and but also to like kind of expose some of our like audience to that as well. It's really great to see bands like Supernova, who played like our release show with you with the cell phones like years ago, and she's doing like such amazing things now, or like groups like Glitter Money doing like moving to LA and like destroying the world. It's amazing.
Glitter Money, I love them so much.
They're so amazing. Yeah,
it's funny. Like I don't know, I've been talking a lot to the guys about like, you know, what's the band doing? Are we a band still? What's happening? And both of them have been like, Lindsay, we played a show a month or more for 13 years. Like, and I'm like, okay, cool. But now we haven't played for like 3, and now I'm starting to lose my mind. And Chicago makes it so easy to book a show once a month. And have you like, I don't know, I've had some friends play shows now in this still very volatile time in our like doing live shows and stuff like that, who have been like hit in the face with shows where no one shows up. Like, do you feel like people are like romanticizing like playing shows and like, oh man, remember when we played awesome shows, but then like not like the greatest anymore? Like, or are you just, is it just been a packed house every goddamn time for Bev?
I mean, I wish we could say that. That's not always the case. Luckily we play somewhat infrequently enough that people get excited when we do. However, we have played we have played 1 or 2 shows where it's been less than super crowded, and it's kind of like, I don't know, I hate to blame it on the venues at some point, but sometimes like you'll play a venue and they won't promote it, and it's kind of like, well, we tried to save you in March of 2020 with all of these things, so why are you not like really pulling up the local talent that you have to allow us to support you now?
That's a really good point.
It's been a little frustrating with a few of them. However, most of them have been really good.
Awesome.
And I'm not going to name
that. You give me hope.
Yeah.
But also, there's some pretty cool ass venues down here that I was not aware of until literally yesterday. We watched Lung play a show at a place called Healer. It's like, it was like I was wild. It was like the best house show possible, but it was in like a strip mall. And they had all these like little art installations. Dude, you should come down here. I'm trying to find ways, because I think Chicago artists have no idea how to book a show, and like in Indianapolis specifically. And I'm gonna try to be the connect here. I'm gonna do my very best.
Yeah, we're putting together a bunch of weekends in the fall, so I would love to come to Indianapolis. The only place in Indiana we've ever played is Fort Wayne, which was shockingly good. It was a really great show, but yeah, I would love to come to Indianapolis.
Awesome.
I've heard Bloomington's good too, but I know nothing about it.
I went to school in Bloomington, so I can vouch for that. They're very good, and they're trying to be better. A lot of the places, a lot of the venues are like big time, or like too clean for you. Clean for us. But they just still have like house shows. I mean, it's college kids, so, and the fall perfect for that. So
cool. That's great.
Okay, I'm sorry. I'm just talking about music, and Brian's just like,
let's get on to the horror, or the Antlers, or whatever we're talking about.
Yeah.
Oh yeah. So our movie of this episode is Antlers. We all agreed to watch, or Brian and I agreed to watch it together. He said that there might be some some issues with it, and boy howdy were there. I like to start with literally the beginning, because it was literally like, it begins with a disembodied indigenous woman's voice speaking in an indigenous language, and she says some stuff, and then we never hear that voice again or see that woman. It's just indigenous, like indigenous talk to get us in. And then it's literally a whole movie full of white people being like, what's going on? This is what not to do.
Yeah. One of the reviews I read said it was egregious. Yeah, the lack of Native American characters in the film, and I have to agree. There's a lot I liked about it, actually, but I have to agree that there's a reason I love physical media, is because you can get like the commentary, and you can get the special features sometimes, and I went to Wikipedia and tried to do some research and read some reviews afterwards, just because I was like, why do they have to make this? Why do these filmmakers have to make this? And I saw it was based on a short story. I think and I think the guy who wrote the short story was involved somehow with the screenwriting or something like that. But I was like, why did you have to tell this particular myth or legend and just center it with white people? Or did you try to get funding by having a Native American cast and couldn't get it, and figured it was worth it to tell the story without it, or what have you? And I thought I thought the monster was fucking cool.
Monster was terrifying.
Terrifying. Terrifying. And most of the acting was solid, and I love anything that kind of incorporates themes of abuse, but I thought that they kind of failed on too. They didn't kind of wrap that into the end fully enough.
No. And I literally wrote, my note was like, at the very end, I was like, the real bad guy was how our government fails our rural lower income children.
Yeah. That's
it. Like, the fact that Kerry Russell, also waste of a cast. You had Kerry Russell, you had Jesse Plemons, Oscar nominated Jesse Plemons,
Amy Madigan, who was,
and you had Lucas from Empire Records. My boy. I love when he's in a movie. I'm like, there he is. He's my boy. But yeah, like great cast. But the fact that she was just like, hey, I think this boy's not, something's wrong at home, and they're like, well, we're not doctors. We don't know. And then that very woman walks into their house and goes,
what do you expect from Amy Madigan? She's of a certain generation.
She was like, oh my God.
But I fucking love Amy Madigan. So I was kind of glad that she got the big death scene. I think she's awesome.
Oh yeah.
Kind of a weirdly underwritten part. And I was like, you hired Amy Madigan, who I think is also an Oscar nominee, if I'm not mistaken.
Okay.
Interesting fact, had a band, and I had this on vinyl, had a band named Jelly in the late 70s. So she was a rocker herself. It's not worth it. It's decent. It's decent. It's worth checking out. They didn't go anywhere and they were on Arista, I think, Arista Records, and kind of home of Barry Manilow. So it's Jelly and Barry Manilow.
Beautiful. Way to go. What was the label? Arista?
Arista. So I think that was Barry Manilow's home, and not that Miller, but Melissa Manchester.
That's wild. Yeah, I don't know why they had to make it the Wendigo. I don't know why they had to do that. They literally could have made it they could have made it an original thing. They could have the Antler Beast. They called it anything else, but instead they wanted to root it in literally like indigenous spirit stuff. And then when it was like, what's going on? One Native American man showed up and explained the whole thing.
For 3 minutes or whatever. For 2-3 minutes. Yeah.
Yeah, for 2-3 minutes. And then it was so funny because like Jesse Plemons' like sheriff character was like, well, I don't know about all that. Like he did it and then they wrote it off. And then it was like, it doesn't matter what it is. I'm just gonna save them. Like, yeah, seeing the child that got sick, like with the dad, And I did like when they turned it around, because it could have just been like, I'm an abusive dad, but it ended up that he was like, lock me in here, like out of love for his kids.
He was trying to protect them kids. He was doing his darndest.
Not doing a very good job, but like seeing that kid just so filthy and sad, and watching this poor kid be the one responsible for like feeding his family, like broke my heart.
The kid was awesome. The kid was
the kid was wonderful. I just
didn't think to note his name, but
but like, why did you have to base this entire movie in indigenous culture?
It made no sense. It made
you could have done anything.
Shame on you, Guillermo del Toro.
And I saw the Guillermo.
He's a producer.
I'm like, Guillermo, what the fuck? Like, I was at that point in the credits, I was incensed. I was like, sir, get the fuck out of here. Like, what was the last movie he did? Valley, which was also just fucking full of white people.
Yeah.
Guillermo del Toro's like, I'm gonna make a movie about white people. I'm just like, fun. We're having a great time.
Josh, do you have anything to say about Antlers? You've seen it too.
Yes, I'm sorry. We're just going on.
No, it's okay. So I did watch Antlers, and to be 100% honest, I have very similar thoughts as you. However, I was very stoned when I watched it. So all of these like memories are like coming in and out of my brain. I'm like, oh yeah, there was only white people in there. Oh yeah, Carrie Russell was. So I don't have super strong opinions, but I have very similar ones to you. And by the end of the movie, I was having very negative thoughts towards it, as far as like the indigenous culture that it appropriated. Because it didn't make sense to me that it had to be the Wendigo. Like you were saying, it could have been anything. I mean, it like the monster was great, but like that didn't have to be the story that it was following. It didn't make sense.
Yeah.
No, it literally could have just been some mutated deer that got a evil hair up its ass or something. Like,
plus there was, I thought, plot holes too. Like, how the fuck she kills. This is like, spoiler alert, folks.
Sorry guys.
She kills the younger sick brother who you mentioned. How the hell do you get away with that? Like they go in the cave at the end, and she saves, kills the monster. The monster transfers itself into the youngest child. Then she kills the youngest child, which is a bold move for the movie. But how the fuck do you get away with that? And they don't explain it at all. I mean, the next thing is a scene of her and the brother and the young boy, and they're going to take care of the young boy. And it looks like the brother who has been attacked by the Wendigo is now going to get sick as well, which fucking frustrates me as well.
That really frustrated
even if they
me.
had tied that into the fact, they never, like, Carrie Russell always talks about the abuse she went through with her father, and he and the brother, played by Jesse Plemons, kind of hints that maybe something happened to him. So even if they had played it in like this thing where you can never escape your past, you can never escape abuse, and had the Wendigo who attacked the brother represent the father and kind of go, hey, he can't escape his past either. Like, Carrie Russell really couldn't escape her past. He can't escape his past. Now all that abuse is still going to be inside him and come back to haunt him. Even if they had done something poetic like that, I would have been fuck yeah. But instead I was like, Jesus, you made me sit through 90 minutes of this and the monster's still going to come back. I'm like, thank you very fucking much. I wanted like at least some kind of solid or happy or something ending. Like I like, an ending that has some kind of positivity to it. If you've gone through, 90, minutes of horror, you want there to be a victorious kind of, at least I do. I relate to them on a very personal journey. Like, hey, life's a slog to get through sometimes, but if you grin and bear it and you get through it, you'll make it to the end. So I have a real kind of personal connection to these films, so horror films. And when, I sit through something and it's just like, oh, great, this is like life. Shit.
Yeah. It was like, I don't know if you guys have seen the movie Prisoners, but that was a movie that was, it was like Jake Gyllenhaal and like Hugh Jackman's dealing with like his son is missing or something. But literally like the whole movie is just like the saddest thing in the whole world. And I remember like leaving the theater and just being like, because I think it was too real. So I haven't been able to finish the series Dope Sick because it's just too goddamn real, and I'm just watching people like become addicted to Oxycontin, and I'm like, this doesn't end well, and we're still dealing with it, and it sucks. Too bad. So Brian, are you into like so obviously you don't like the or is it ending, where it's like the end, or is it?
You know what? It all depends. Well, like if it's something like, I know we did last summer, when they always have the kind of like the killer comes back and supposedly kills everyone, and then everyone's
like
alive again in the next movie or whatever.
Like the end of Thriller when he's like, "Let's go home," and he's got the eye.
Yeah, so if it's a cheesy, silly, and a lot of, I think if we went back and kind of talked about the slashers who kind of had those endings, and like so many of the Friday the 13th films had the kind of like, oh, is Jason alive, or has Jason infected Tommy at the end of part 5 or whatever. So I think a lot of the cheesier, if we went back and looked at those 80s and 90s kind of slasher variants and things like that, I think we'd find that a lot of them have those kind of like, but I think those are more considered dreams. Like kind of the Carrie dream sequence or the Friday the 13th dream sequence or what have you. So that I don't get so upset about. But especially if it's something like what was oh my God, I can't think of the first one. I kind of enjoyed. It was when the huge Asian craze, and is it The Curse? No, it's Sarah Michelle Gellar.
Oh,
her bigger.
No, was it The Grudge? Are we talking about the Asian ones?
Yeah, it was her big entry in that genre, and they've reworked it a couple times already since then.
The Grudge?
The Grudge, yes.
Was it The Grudge? Yeah, it was The Grudge.
Yeah. So Grudge, yeah, she survives The Grudge, blah blah blah. Grudge 2, which I go to watch, which is not a great film, and that's another thing. If it's a brilliant film and you've got a downbeat ending, I'm there. Like if it's art, fine, beautiful. But if it's just like a generic off the assembly line sequel, and Grudge 2, everyone, like Sarah Michelle's character dies, Amber, Tamlin's character dies. Like literally, Jennifer Beals is in it, Jonah Cassidy. They have this great cast. I think every single person dies at the end, and I'm just like, well, what the fuck is what? Because like the point is, the Grudge will always get you. The Grudge is always going to win, or whatever. But so I remember just leaving the theater going like, what the fuck? I just spent an hour and a half and everyone fucking dies. Like I was expecting Amber Tamlin to hop on her motorcycle and boom, 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 rev it up and smack the cute boy on the ass and go on to her next adventure. And she's like, or whatever the fuck, So yeah, so it depends. It depends. Like if it's a real well put together film and there's some kind of downbeat thing, I'm generally fine with it. But if it's just like a greasy, pay your $5 for a matinee and eat the Dollar Tree candy that you've snuck into the theater in the movie.
Greasy. I like that.
So yeah.
Yeah, I do like a good film where a lot of people die. Like I remember, and this is not a horror movie, but the last X-Men, The Last Stand. That was like a movie where, it was like before the Marvel blockbusters. So like the X-Men trilogy was kind of like what we had at the time. And I remember when like whatever Dark Phoenix happens and she just like kills everybody. Like it's like Professor X dead, bring me to dead. Everybody's dead. I remember like I think Cyclops died. We were just like, the fuck? Like you can't do this. But like comic books work in a whole different way. I feel like horror works in a different way like that too, where it's like, no one can kill Jason. It's just like one of those things where it's like in the end, his hand will always shoot up out of wherever he's hiding and go, I'm gonna get you.
There's always going to be something. Did you, I have not listened to all of your episodes. You very likely talked about this, but what did you think of the new Scream movie?
Oh, yeah, we did talk about it a little bit, but we thought it was wonderful. We thought it was like the most meta, mind-blowing, like at this point, what are they going to do next, right? Like, yeah. If they do anything next, it'll have to be like, we'll have to be in it's like the next movie has to be called Stab. Like, if they call the movie Stab, I'll be very upset, because at this point, we're so deep into the like rabbit hole of a horror movie that we just need to be on the set of Stab for the next episode, for the next
Interesting.
Yeah, I think that'll be fun. I don't know.
So you and Ryan really dug it.
Oh yeah, we dug it because it was just, it was literally like, it was like walking, it was like a horror movie within a horror movie. I never, like, up until the very end, I didn't know who was the killer, and that was by design. I just knew that Jack Quaid was gonna be someone because that kid is a freak. I knew him as an actor. I knew that kid was a freak. What is he? He's one of the Quaid brothers. He's a Quaid, first of all. And Meg Ryan's kid. Oh, his name's.
Oh, is he really?
Yeah.
I didn't know that.
Jack Quaid. He's one of the Quaids, not Randy, the other one.
Interesting.
And Meg Ryan's kid.
I did not know that.
I had no idea either.
Yeah.
I thought it was all right. Like, it took me a while to get into it. Like, I thought there was so many like starts, and I didn't know if I liked the new characters a lot. I like that young actress who's also an X, which I think we're going to talk about tonight. Jenny Ortega, who played the younger sister. She's also an actor, and I think she's adorable. But it took me a while to get into it. Ultimately, I really liked it. But I don't know if I honestly, as much as I ultimately enjoyed it, I was kind of like, why do we need another Scream? You know, was kind of my thing. Like I did ultimately enjoy it. I thought it was better than that fourth one. And, you know, like I said, it took me a while to get my groove with it and really, really kind of like it and get into it. But yeah, I think that was I don't know. I just feel like we're doing the same things over and over and over and over again.
Also, Courtney Cox can't act. With that amount of Botox, she can't act.
She can't act.
She can't act. She was just literally like, no, don't.
Yeah, she could not. She was unable to move her face in that film.
Yeah. Completely unable.
Yeah.
So what did you think, Josh? I mean, did you like it?
I'm jealous of that though. No. I'm kind of in the Brian camp here, so it took me a little while to get into it, but there's something inherently like comforting about the Scream movies to me. I don't know, like you can always just sit down and like have a good time watching them. That's kind of what I like about them. There wasn't anything like mind-blowing in it to me, but I did enjoy like how meta it was. It was a fun ride. I watched it twice just to kind of like give myself a second chance, and I enjoyed it a lot more the second time.
I'd like to check it out again. I'll probably eventually own it or something.
Mm-hmm.
You know, like I'll go into Target one night. It'll be on sale for $10 or something, and I'll grab it.
Yeah.
Also, Frosted Tips in Scream 5. That dude, just the frostiest of tips. He's also in a band, and I know this because I was just watching Coachella's like live feed, and I was like, "Is that guy from?" Oh my god, it is! Like,
yeah, the 13 Reasons Why guy, or
exactly. That's what everybody.
Yeah, he's in a band. I have that. I found it for like $3 in the reject bin, like because there wasn't all the cover artwork at Reckless, and I was like, oh, because I do these things called music to make horror movies by for big A horror fan. I was like, oh, I'll have to write about this one day, and I don't think I've listened to it yet. You know, I just was going through my stuff and I found it the other day. But yeah, that young actor has a band who's done a ton of horror stuff. He's also in what's the one where they get out or Don't Breathe. Don't Breathe.
Oh,
he's in Don't Breathe.
Yeah, he was in
Scream
about Elizabeth Holmes. He was like the guy who like whistle blew to the Wall Street Journal.
That was him. You're right.
Yeah. And he also plays guitar in that, so it was
to
see all of that connect.
He had a little sexy shower moment.
Yeah,
right?
I don't know his name. I just know him.
His name either. I can't think of his name either. But he's been in a ton of stuff. Definitely. And I just think David Arquette has turned into like the hottest older fox around. He is.
Oh.
I think he's so hot now. Like I never particularly like thought about him being as attractive one way or the other, but like I like the older David Arquette. I must
Dewey,
say.
Dewey has definitely entered his daddy phase for sure.
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
Yeah. So
I just saw in a movie called Spree, which is not bad. It's with Joe Carey, who's in
the Stranger Things guy.
Stranger Things, and that's pretty solid. Like Spree is pretty solid, and he plays Joe Carey's dad, and he's very funny, but also really really hot. I think in that as well. I'm like David.
Wow. Also, we talked about how the fact that the Scream, the core Scream people aren't coming back next time because they did what they did at the end of Endgame, where it was like, here's the people who are in the movie, and then it's Neve Campbell, and she's like, it's me, Courtney Cox. And that's all she did. And then they're like,
Jack A. Harry school of acting.
Yeah. So it's like it was kind of
on my soap now, Days of Our Lives, and she's obviously got some more going on. And it's like it's her lower. Well, like she's in this big thing now where her ex-husband has come back to abuse her, and she just discovered the other day. And it's funny, like her lower jaw works, so she her lower jaw like reacts in surprise, but the rest of her face is like so. And I can tell she's acting her fucking heart out. Like good old Jackie's acting her fucking heart out. Her daughter just shot the husband. So now I think there's going to be some big thing where she's going to say that she shot the ex-husband, so her daughter doesn't get in trouble. But all with very, just with the lower half of her face is going to be reacting to them. So.
Botox, it's a plague on our actresses. It's a plague.
So she and Courtney Cox can do some commercials together or something, and non-react with Glee to whatever product they're spouting. But,
also, I'm really sad. Oh yeah, go ahead.
I was gonna say it's so hard to like wear a face mask too when you have Botox because you can't react in any way. It's only the lower part of your face, right?
Also, one missed opportunity I think that Scream in general had was Neve Campbell can dance. She can dance like real good.
Really? Huh.
There should have been a music number with the kid on his guitar.
I think there should have been a weird music number. I think there should have been like some weird dream sequence where she's just showing us that she kicks ass. Or even like some fights, like some like better fight sequences would have been cooler. Like in what Spider-Man 3, Kirsten Dunst was like, in my contract I want to sing, and she couldn't really sing. They just had it in her contract, so they had to make her sing. Like, I wish that Neve Campbell would have been like, I have to dance. I would have been okay with that. Whereas with Kirsten Dunst, I was like, this is not needed. Go away.
But you need Neve to dance.
How do you know that Neve can dance? Is there
it was like one of those things where I was like doing like, I think I like looked her up on Wikipedia or something, and it was like blah blah blah. She went to a really fancy ass dance school. And I know she's
in some Chicago-based film. They filmed it. I think it's called The Company. But she did do a dance film. I think with Barbara Hershey was in it, and I don't think. Also,
she was in like a version of Reefer Madness that they like rebooted. And she wasn't even like a normal character, but she did like a dance number in the middle of the movie. And I was just like, Neve can't what? Like, it was amazing. And I'm like, girl, what? Like in Wild Things, why didn't we get a dance number?
Yeah. I was actually just thinking of Wild Things. I was going to mention it because I just recently binge watched all of 10/15. And there's a whole episode about them watching Wild Things in the 90s. Yeah. It's amazing. Have you seen that, Brian?
I've seen Wild Things. I have not seen 10/15.
Okay, yeah.
It's 10/15, like penis.
Correct.
Right? Yeah. I haven't watched the most recent stuff, but man, that episode where Maya finds out how to masturbate, that really hit me. Like talk about like representation. I felt very represented there. Sorry.
Me too.
Me too. Good Lord. Okay, so yeah, I have not seen X, but please feel free to talk about it. I love Ty. Is it T West or Ty West?
I think it's Ty.
Okay.
Ty West, I believe. Yeah.
That makes sense to me. I've loved Ty West ever since he did one of the Cabin Fevers.
Oh, Cabin Fever 2.
Yeah.
Ew.
And that was, it was literally like we always talk about like sequels, and you're either like, you either did something good or you did something bad, or you did like a Crank 2. Like, to me, Crank 2 is the perfect sequel because it's absolutely insane.
Yeah.
Not exactly like, and it's not exactly like the first movie. They've like done something and they've made it their own.
Interesting.
I feel like that's what Ty West did.
Yeah. So, and plus there's the Jenny Ortega connection, so who is in both Scream.
Also, I think Mia Goth is, I think she is absolutely wild. Like, every movie, I saw her in High Life, and I was like, oh shit, like this girl does everything. Like, I'm very, when I saw that she was in this movie, I was very happy. Also, Kid Cudi, I think he needs to be in more movies. I love him very much.
He was great in it. Yeah, I really enjoyed it. I'm a huge fan of Ty West. I love The Innkeepers. I love House of the Devil. So I was super excited to see this one. I just recently watched it a few days ago, so I haven't had a chance to revisit it. But yeah, I was super impressed. I was very entertained. There were a lot of like underlying like themes on like aging and kind of like regret and all that kind of stuff. So it was really interesting. I'd love to like hear your thought on that, Brian, too. I'm not calling you old, don't worry.
Go ahead, man. Mid-50s, here I am. Wah wah wah. Yeah, I definitely love some of the layers to it. I wish it's the same thing. Like, and I know not to pay attention to the hype, but that film was getting such great hype. I went to go see it in the theater when it had been out for a week or two, and I wish I had known. It's really like an homage to Tobe Hooper on a lot of levels. I mean, basically, it's Texas Chainsaw Massacre meets Eaten Alive. You know, like so many of the plot elements from Eaten Alive are also in this film. Like his kind of second bonkers, big budget, catastrophe, really. So I kind of wish I had known that, because I was going in, I think, expecting something more serious, or I don't know what the hell I was expecting. And I was like, oh, this is kind of like this bonkers mashup of, Texas Chainsaw Massacre and Eaten Alive. But yeah, like I liked, it felt in a way like he was kind of trying to court, the alternative crowd a little bit, like the obviously everyone in the film is very heterosexual, and many of them are very fucked up. But I also think the characters kind of embraced this, do what you want to do and love everybody and everything is cool. And I can tell why Brittany Murphy did the role, just for that one fucking line she has, where basically she's basically she's kind of giving her philosophy on life and sexuality, and she goes, straight, gay, it's all disco. And I was like, she did it just for that fucking line. It's totally, it's an amazing kind of sum up, and it's a great line. My Aaron Eichscheid, who's a young author who we had on one of our final in-person episodes, posted after seeing it, and I kind of agreed with him too. I just have questions now when you've got a straight white filmmaker of a certain age like Ty West, who's writing all these female characters though, and he's writing about their sexuality. And I was like, is that really their sexuality? Because the young girl that Jenny Ortega plays, not to give away too many spoilers because you haven't seen it, Lindsay, but basically she is helping out behind the scenes as they're making a porno kind of in secret on this older backwoods couple's property, and things as they will go awry. And she kind of is very timid and shy, the character, and kind of as she's watching the sex scene unfolds, kind of her sexuality blooms, and she decides that she wants to be part of the film. And I was just like, is that, honestly what young women's sexuality is? That, or is that just like a middle-aged straight white dudes? Like, I don't think, even if she was opened up, had her eyes opened up, and was like, wow, there are different ways to express sex, and it's okay to be a sex worker and have sex on film, would she jump in and insist that she wants to be a part of that world as well? I mean, I was like, is that just, it's an exploitation film at its heart, so maybe that's the way of the world. But I was just like, I did have some questions, but all the women in the film were very eager and happy to be a part of sex work and to be doing these porn films, and we're looking at it as a kind of a way out of their former life. And I was like, do young women really feel that way? Does this really represent their sexuality, or is it what the straight white dudes would like to think, that, oh yeah, chicks are into porn, chicks want to do porn, yeah, of course they do, so that was my only
that's interesting, only because
kind of thought on it.
Yeah,
that just kind of like, I wonder how. I really enjoyed it, thought it was bonkers and crazy, and there were, as you said, some, and we'll get back around to you, Josh, so you can kind of comment on some of that stuff as well. There's some great stuff about aging and stuff like that, but
just to touch on that,
yeah.
I'm seeing a lot more women embrace sex work again.
Yeah,
should also be embracing social work. But I do see us kind of taking sex work back.
Mm-hmm.
I guess it's maybe in the packaging. What, this is the 70s. I think it's hard to be like, oh yeah, they're finding sex and porn in the 70s, whereas like now there's like a couple more things in place that make sex work a little more of a doable thing, like the internet. So that's interesting, because I would like to think that Ty West isn't just, trying to be like, oh, these helpless women, sex is how they get their identities. But also I think that's something that we should explore in general, about men and women who use sex work. Sex work is work.
My impression,
destigmatize it as much as possible, but yeah, putting it in the 70s makes it a little.
Yeah, and they definitely looked at it as a powerful thing, these women. And I'm not saying that he did it. I'm not saying that he was wrong. I'm curious. I would almost need to see it again. I think it's a question that I just have, and
yeah, I would
I don't
love to
think
ask
I have
that question to him.
And maybe here's the thing. Maybe are we being too dismissive just because it was a straight white guy who wrote it? If I don't think I would have had those questions if it was a woman who wrote and directed it. But so do we have to kind of give people a little more slack? And just kind of go, just because he's of a certain color and sexual orientation, do we kind of just, are we being too inquisitive? I don't know. Do you have any thoughts on that, Josh?
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, I kind of was thinking a similar thing whenever I was watching it. Like, for instance, that specific character, like jumping directly into it, that seemed a little like far-fetched to me. I always think of Ty West, or at least the ones that I'm familiar with, his films, as featuring these strong female leads. But there's always kind of like an element of like, I don't know, like unrealistic vulnerability or something within them, which doesn't really translate very well when you think about like his like demographic or his like sexual orientation or something. So it is a little bit different. But however, if it was like a female director, I probably wouldn't have those same thoughts. I would feel like much differently about it. Like for instance, in this film, like the three leads were essentially the three women in it. And all of them had different qualities that were like empowering in a sense.
Yeah.
I don't want to give too much away, but like the lead plays two roles in it. I think you probably know that, right, Brian?
Yeah.
And both of those roles have like very empowering parts to them. I mean, one is like not a great character in the film, but yeah, so I don't know. It's certainly an interesting thought. Yeah.
Which is not to dismiss I really, like I said, I really enjoyed it. It's not to dismiss it by any means. It's just an interesting conversation, I think, to have. Is you know, on both ends, like how deep do we go into discussions of, hey, is it appropriate, you know, for, you know, a straight white dude to write, women who find empowerment through porn work in the 70s, you know?
Yeah.
Maybe fine. Yeah. Maybe, you know, or maybe there are some issues with it. I don't know. I tend to think that there might be some issues with it, but
there's also
but
oh, sorry. Oh, I was just gonna say
his stuff in the. I'm sorry. I'll be quick. This stuff.
No, go for it.
His stuff in the past. There are a couple movies like early on that he did that were a little like, you know, women were women. It was horror movie, but there are also movies like House of the Devil, like I feel like Innkeepers to an extent where the women are not. Yeah, it's not. I guess to me, it's like you got to look at their track record. I would be very intrigued to see like kind of how he interviews this film, like X, and how like the things he says about it, because it is kind of like they build this kind of as his return to horror because he had been doing so much like non-horror like TV stuff, I think, in between. Or
did a Western that was really horrible, like really bad, like kind of one of those gritty. Ethan Hawke was in it, and John Travolta was in it. But it was kind of his attempt to do like a really kind of almost Quentin Tarantino inspired noir Western, but it was so, just everything about it was so cliched and so and it sank. Like I don't think it did anything. Well, like I think he was really, I was at a screening where he was at, and even like he had friends in the audience, like colleagues in the audience, and they were kind of going like, I saw a middle-aged woman go to one of her companions go like, well, what'd you think? And he was like, she's like, don't tell him that. She goes, he's so proud of this. She goes, please don't tell him that. But it was just like, so I almost wonder if he's like someone who kind of apes genres a bit, you know, like a lot of this was very, very similar to like the films of Tobe Hooper and those kind of characters and that kind of style. And I was just like, I wonder if, you know, if he's not even really thinking of that. Well, like he's thinking more of, you know, of kind of a character arc and not whether, hey, is this appropriate or what have you. But it's just an interesting question. I had a buddy who wanted me to do a film of his, like this was a few years ago when I was in like, you know, good shape, and, you know, but it was like this project about this young old middle-aged playwright who gets is on the downswing and gets asked to be a professor, like it's his last kind of hurrah. And basically he's drinking himself to death while he's going to construction sites and picking up young migrant, you know, Latin workers and fucking them. And like, and one of him he gets in a relationship with one of them. And Matt, like myself, is a middle-aged white gay man who has worked with a lot of, in his films nicely, has worked with a lot of Asian and Latin and Black performers. But I didn't want to do the film just because, you know, I don't want to play a suicidal, you know, drunk who's, I don't think I've got those skills as an actor anymore. I wouldn't want to spend a week, you know, filming this thing. So we got in some really, we almost stopped being friends just because he was so upset with me because I did not want to do this film. But my question too, which I did not bring up to him because I know he would have been so offended, was I was like, dude, you're a middle-aged white guy and you're writing very specific types of Latino characters that you don't really, I was like, I don't know how accurate and truthful and how much are you sexualizing these individuals, because the character in the play is actually, or the movie, was sleeping with them. And I was like, how do you write these characters when you are who you are? You're you know, he's been a middle class, like he's worked in the automobile industry and he's had a pretty successful life, and whatever, not a wife, But I was like, he's your experience is so different from this. Like, I think you're kind of sexualizing and kind of putting things on these characters that, and like I said, was what I was thinking. I was like, I would never have said that to him. And he's gone on to another project, and he's just done another very kind of spooky Twilight Zone inspired film. So he's successful. He's gone on to something else. He was trying to get project for that. It was something called Suicide Summer. But I'm sure if I would have asked him about that, he would have been very, very, we've kind of regained our balance. I don't know if we would have regained our balance if I would have been like, hey, dude, I'm kind of questioning what you're doing here with the sexy Latin boy workers that the guy's sleeping with, like how do you know their experience?
I was talking to somebody about, I don't know, one of my friends is really into romance novels, and my other friend who's gay has been trying to read books with her every now and again, and kind of do like a book club thing. And they haven't asked me. I'm not a big romance novel person, but she totally is, and so I value that. But my friend Garrett was talking about reading a book, I think it was written by a woman, where, I don't know, they in the same paragraph mentioned somebody being a bottom and then them eating greasy Indian food right before or something. And he was like, tell me you don't know bottoms by, without telling me that you don't know anything about bottoms. And I'm like, that's such an easy thing. I feel like if I wrote a book and I had a gay character in it, I would 100% be like, hello, gay friends, please read this. Tell me if I'm completely out of my depth, because I'm not a gay man. I don't know these specifics. Tell me what I did wrong here.
I would think that would just make sense, that you wouldn't have someone eating a can of beans before they got dicked up the butthole. Just kind of would make sense on any level.
I have the butthole, and I didn't think of that.
Okay.
This is why you always need to consult with bottoms before you do anything.
Before anything.
To get, before you write anything, before you go to church, before anything, just consult with the bottom in your life and get some wise words.
I'm gonna call Garrett and be like,
so everything in general.
Should I get coffee today? Should I get a matcha? What should I do?
Exactly. Yeah.
Exactly.
You just need to have there should be a bottom hotline where we can give advice. We can just do all the self-help.
Yeah. I love I was talking to we were talking about poppers with straight friends, and one of my straight men friends was like, well, poppers, does it loosen your butthole so much that poop comes out? Poop falls out of your butt? And I'm like, no.
Oh my
But
God.
these are the things that they think about, and it's funny because you're that's a weird thing. But if you had a bottom in your life, they would reassure you, honey, no.
Exactly.
No.
Can you imagine your fairy god bottom popping up on your shoulder?
Yes.
No, don't say that, honey.
Don't eat that. Save the Taco Bell for later.
Just have it later.
No, just have it later. What's wrong with you? It's so funny. Yeah. So it's a really I think it's not too much to ask. It's not too much to do. You don't even have to hire someone. You could, if you want to be real nice, hire someone to read your freaking manuscript, script, book, whatever the hell it is, and just be like, am I coming off as a dude that just wants to fuck migrant women? This is what I want to know. I just want to know that.
Yeah.
And then somebody could be like, yes. I did a short story contest that one of my friends does. And it's fun. It's literally you get, 48 hours to write 5,000 page or 5,000 words of whatever. And it's fun. And I wrote one completely I had to think about what to write. I had a prompt, a tiny prompt. It had to have a object in it and a word in it or something. So I was just nah, just because you have to start writing immediately or you fail. So I wrote one about an Indian, like an Indian demon, like a demon brought from India to Indian restaurant where it ate off of people, but because the pandemic didn't allow people to sit in the restaurant, they had to eat, like they had to then physically eat people because there weren't enough people coming to suck essence from. So then they just had to like sacrifice a person coming in for takeout every now and again to this like shape-shifting Indian demon. And I was like, this is fun. I'm excited. I've never written this thing before. I don't really have anybody to like. I think I made Ryan read it like real quick before I pressed submit because it was due in mere hours. But I had people write back, and some of them were very good, and some of them were like, I would absolutely rethink this entire thing because this seems pretty predatory. And I was like, thank you. I'll think about that. I mean, not like this was going to be put in a book or anything, but the good notes. Like, these are things that everybody needs, and I think a lot of people don't do that. They just don't go that. They don't go the extra mile.
Yeah. I think it's really important to seek out feedback whenever you're doing that kind of thing. Like, I mean, why not? Like, what's the harm?
I know it's scary, but you got to. I mean, especially, you in the music world, like, you don't really get to not get criticism. You know what I mean? Like,
yeah, and you have to learn how to take it and learn how to either ignore it or improve in ways that you haven't thought of before. Yeah, I mean, interesting.
Yeah.
It's like,
but nothing can improve on Bev. I'm sorry, and the current Patreon. Let's. I'm hearing the bing. My phone's way into the other room, but I'm hearing Jared's bing.
We hear you, Jared, and we know. Thank you.
So promote. You tell us about the 2 latest video releases and where people can see them, and kind of hype some of the upcoming shows, including we want people who are in Chicago or traveling to Chicago or traveling the internet waves.
Yes, tell us about the Summer of Bev.
Okay.
Bev stuff.
Yeah, Summer of Bev. Oh my gosh, so much is happening.
Yes.
So the band is called Beverage in the Drink. We have a ton of stuff coming up this summer. So we have this new album coming out. It's called X's and Hexes. It's coming out on vinyl on What's for Breakfast Records, which is a local label here in Chicago. That's on August 13th at Shuba's with No Men. The album will be available there as well. It's a very sexy album. It's going to be on a purple vinyl and have a very cute cover.
I'm so glad I didn't eat Indian food right now because I'm so excited to hear that. So.
It's kind of funny because the album X's and Hexes, so the album's a little bit more serious than some of our past stuff. It deals with a lot of like mental health and like queer dating and like a little bit more serious themes in general, but we also have like the funny songs that you expect from us.
Are you the only queer person in the band? Can you say that? Can you tell us? Are you the only queer in the band?
No, three out of 4 of us are queer.
Nice. I was aware of that. That's rad. Yeah. Awesome.
So Sam, our bass player, her and Mary Rose are both lesbians, and then Dan is the token straight in our band.
She's hot. The women in that band are hot.
Yeah, hot. They're amazing. Like I could not ask for a better like rhythm section, and they're just like my band is like the funniest people you've ever met. I'm like the least funny of them all. And they're all just like such amazing people. I love them so much. They're great.
Dude, yeah, again, a shout out to Bev's band. I've played with Sam in Swimsuit Edition and other bands. I have played with what's the drummer's name?
Mary Rose.
She is up.
I played with her. She's amazing.
She's amazing to watch on stage.
She's in Mystery Actions, which is a great other band to listen to. And then she's in another band with someone in Mystery Actions, or they used to be.
Yeah, she's not in that anymore, but she is touring the US and Europe with a band from the Southwest called the Darts right now.
Awesome.
Yeah, so she'll be gone for a lot of the summer. She's back for all of our shows, but yeah, she'll be doing that for a lot of the summer. She's
very cool.
She's amazing. She she actually goes by Beef now, like the meat. So Rose Beef, that's her new name.
Really? Aw.
I know.
Love it.
But back to me.
Yes, back to
Yes,
you.
please. Sorry.
Okay, so we have this new album coming out. It's gonna be very fun. It's very witchy. Like I consulted with my witch friend to like get all the like symbolism and iconography for like the cover of it.
See, you did
so
your
that'll
homework. This is important.
I tried. I reached out to at least one witch about it. And so we've been releasing these singles and videos over the past like 2 months that we're going to have 6 of them coming up for the new album. So the first one was Permanent Receptionist that came out a few months ago. The video is very great. It's by New Trash from Chicago.
New Trash
like I said,
rules.
everything, they're so fucking good.
Also, I'd like to, can I just throw out that Permanent Receptionist is obviously a play on Paul McCartney's Temporary Secretary. That song is a jam and your song is a jam. I am, to me, just knowing that, and I don't think many do, I feel really good.
A few people have made notes of that connection. It's hilarious because we were on tour at one point and we were listening to that song over and over for whatever reason. Because it's like really fucking annoying, but also just like catchy.
It's so good.
Yeah. So yeah, Temporary Secretary or Permanent Receptionist, whatever you want to call it. And then we just released a new video and single called Machines Get Cleaned. That video is by Taylor Wells, another Chicago person who does a lot of like stop motion stuff. This one is not stop motion, but it's a very catchy song. It's actually where the album title X's and Hexes comes from. So it's about kind of like breaking through barriers of like past relationships to kind of like figure out how to start anew with new people. But the video is really goofy, so it's what you would expect from us.
Nice.
And then we have another video coming out in a few weeks called Perfect Guy that'll be out soon. It's kind of a play on like Attack of the 50-Foot Woman type movie. But yeah, keep an eye out. We have a bunch of cool stuff coming out. And shows. We're playing Midsummer Fest on June 11th in Chicago. That's in Andersonville. We're playing Pride Fest. That's in North Halsted neighborhood in Chicago on June 18th. And we have a show in Michigan on June 1st. I forget the town, but it's somewhere on the west side of Michigan. And then we're gonna take a break until our album release on August 13th. Nice. And we'll probably be touring this fall too, so keep an eye out. We'll probably be touring like East Coast, Midwest, maybe a little bit South. If anyone wants to take us on tour, hit me up.
Hey, and please hit me up if you want to come to Chicago or to Indianapolis. We would be so happy to help.
Absolutely, that sounds great.
I have a very big studio apartment, so you can play here too. Just
hey,
putting
perfect.
it. Yeah, I'm sure the residents would love it.
Oh yeah, I bet. We're a very fun band too, but we're also all in our late 30s, so we're easy to tour with, and we show up on time, and we don't get too drunk. We just get drunk enough to get fun.
Exactly. And that's in your that's what you should be doing as a band in your mid-30s. Good Lord.
Exactly.
Started my band in my mid-20s, and like we were always that band that was like, I'm not gonna show up late.
It is a chore to show up for sound check at 5 p.m. on like a Thursday, let me tell you.
There will be times where I'll call Empty Bottle and be like, hey, we're not doing that. Dude, Midsummer Fest, I knew I had to look. It says the Prince Experience.
Oh yeah. Yeah. I love these street festivals because it's our drag queen punk band playing with things like the Prince Experience or like the ABBA cover band, or there was a boy band like Review that we played with last year that was like the best thing I've seen in like recent memory. Like played right after us, which is just like so ridiculous, but it's so much fun. I mean, it's a totally different experience than playing like a Bottle or something like that, which we of course love as well, but it's always just like a trip to play these like ridiculous street fest. So it's one of my favorite things about living in Chicago is going to them and playing them. So yeah.
Absolutely. Well, we will see you there. I'm super pumped and excited. And yeah, thank you so much for being with us. You're awesome, and we missed you.
Oh, it was so good to see both of you. I know I've seen you kind of recently, Brian, but
yeah. That was a good show.
It was. But hopefully I get to come down to Indiana at some point soon and see you, Lindsay. I want to meet that the cutest little girl in the world. Oh my God.
Dude, the girl, every single day I'm like, why are you the coolest thing? I don't understand.
It's the summer of Bev and it's Olive's world. So there we go.
It is always.